From beautiful downtown Millheim, in the smack dab center of the Keystone State, this is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass, the podcast that's mostly about food and drink in central Pennsylvania. Welcome to episode 63, Pennsylvania Wines. Have a drink of Traminette. I say PA wine was a long time coming, but I was not ready yet. A long time coming, but I was not ready yet. For you and me to sit down and have a talk about Traminette. My apologies to the late Johnny Johnson and Keith Richards, which, did you know Keith co-wrote Drink of Tanqueray with Johnny? Because I sure didn't. Anyway, apologies, because I couldn't get that little song idea out of my head, and now you've got it in yours. Look, if you're not familiar with Traminette, it's a grape, a wine grape that's done well in Pennsylvania, and that's how it popped up here. See, it's been almost 3 years of Seen Through a Glass, and I haven't done an episode on Pennsylvania wine yet. I wanted to, and I've talked about visiting a couple. I did a short handheld interview with George Hazard of Juniata Valley Winery as part of the Farm Show episode back in early 2023. And then I stumbled across something on the PA Wines website. It was an interview with George about the grape he grows at Juniata Valley, Traminette. And, the more I read about Traminette, it's hardy, well-adapted to Pennsylvania's climate, and across from the Gewürztraminer grape, which makes some delicious food-friendly wines, the more I was thinking that this was the wine story I'd been looking for. So I reached out to George, and we did the interview. We talked about Traminette and making wine, and why he thinks the Juniata Valley is a great winemaking region just waiting to be discovered. Then driving down there on some back roads got me thinking about something else I've been wanting to talk about: dirt roads. Pennsylvania has tens of thousands of miles of dirt roads, and I love to drive them. In the right weather, that is. So I talked to Dave Dreese, my friend and occasional traveling companion here on the show, who lives down a dirt road that you can only get to by driving on another dirt road. We chatted about what it's like living on an unpaved road and having to get to work just like everyone else. It was a fun interview. So let's get going. Can you guess what I'm drinking today? What I'm drinking today is indeed George's Juniata Valley Winery Traminette. Kathy just picked up this bottle this morning at the Express Casual Dining in Center Hall, where the Juniata Valley Winery has a satellite sales room, one of those pleasant quirks of PA liquor law. It's been chilling. I like German-type whites, lightly chilled, and we're going to sample some. The Traminette is a lightly, just faintly greenish gold color, a pleasant-looking white. And it has that simultaneously very grapey but very floral aroma that I have over the last couple of months learned to expect from Traminette. This is not the first bottle I've had. It is, wow, it almost does smell a little bit like Niagara in the intensity. It is, but at the same time, quite floral. Wow. Almost like cut flower bouquet floral, but a little bit of stem. It's really kind of alluring. Let's have a sip. Not sweet. It's funny, and I'll say this in the interview with George, it's almost like the wine itself is not sweet, but the flavors make you think sweet. Like it's not sweet on my tongue, it's not cloying, but at the same time, those flavors are flavors you associate with sweet things. And I'm going to be pausing here just because I don't want to stop drinking this, because it isn't cloying at all. That's some of my problem with sweet wines. It's hard to avoid that. But as George will explain, Traminette has a nice acidity, and that breaks some of it. It also is not a sweet wine. It's low on residual sugar, the bricks that they'll talk about. Bricks, by the way, when he talks about that in the interview, it's BRIX. It's a measure of sugar in a liquid. I think he said this comes out around 0.5, and that's relatively low for a wine that tastes this sweet. But it's not. I mean, you can maybe hear me, or maybe I'll take it out. You can hear me smacking my lips, and I'm not being gross. I'm trying to feel, is there any stickiness here? Is there any cloying? And there's not. It finishes pretty cleanly. Actually, the fruit comes through more on the finish, whereas up front, there's more of the floral aromas and flavors. And then it just, as it goes back and spreads in the back of the mouth, that's when the fruit really comes through. Some white nectarine, obviously some grape. What else? Maybe even some tropical stuff like lychee. It's fun. And it's this is a good wine with cheese. I've already experienced that, especially a semi-hard, like a cheddar or a Gouda. Works really well with that. You don't want too sharp a cheddar. You don't want too aged a Gouda. But like a medium sharp cheddar or maybe a year-old Gouda is really pretty good with this. Go out there, give it a try. Nice work, George. And now it's time for Smack Dab in the Center, sponsored by the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau. Maybe it's because the weather has been so fall-like the past week, or maybe it's because October is my favorite month and I'm rushing the season, and probably also because I won't be able to make it to this event. But I want to encourage you to go to the Pumpkin Chunkin' Fall Festival in Howard on October 18th. If you've never heard of a Pumpkin Chunkin' event, it's all about hurling excess pumpkins as far as possible with the most bizarre and elaborate machinery, from medieval trebuchets to modern air cannons. Pumpkins fly from the shore out across the Foster Joseph Sayers Reservoir, sometimes hundreds of yards, with a variety of sounds: the swoosh of the air cannons, the creak and then wham of a catapult, and that quick mechanical rattle, click, and shh of the big trebuchets. Teams travel miles to participate, and folks come a long way just to see it. It's a hoot. There's also usually a mini trebuchet set up in this festival, so you can go see up close how these medieval war machines work. Even launch a gourd yourself. Small town spectacles being what they are, you know it's not just pumpkin chunkin'. There's craft vendors, food trucks, a farmer's market. You can enter a pumpkin pie eating contest and take your kids to the children's activities, including displays of emergency vehicles. Kids love fire trucks. Admission and parking is free. Get more details under the events tab at the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau website, happyvalley.com. Flying gourds coming soon. Time for wine talk. Traminette is an American-bred hybrid grape, a cross between German Gewürztraminer and a French hybrid, created in 1965 in Illinois. It's a hardy grape, naturally disease-resistant, and the vines survive well in winter weather. It's actually the state grape of Indiana, thriving in the cold northern plains up by the lake and in the much warmer hills in the south. Now, that hardiness makes Traminette popular among Pennsylvania vendors, as they have to deal with the hot humidity of the southeast corner or the cold winters and shorter seasons of central PA in the Allegheny Plateau. But Traminette's other appealing quality is its versatility. Depending on how the winemaker approaches the grape, it can yield fully sweet dessert wines, bone-dry table wines, semi-dry food wines, sparkling wines, if the conditions are right, even ice wines. Much depends on the way the wine is allowed to grow, how it's pressed, and how fermentation proceeds. The growth, length of season, soil, sunlight, that affects the sugar content. The pressing affects how much of the floral aromas of the skins are expressed. Fermentation sets the dryness. Traminette responds well to winemakers' inputs, as opposed to, those grapes that run the show. Well, here I am. This is what you get this year. That versatility is a lot of why George Hazard decided that his new Juniata Valley Winery would specialize in Traminette. That's what he planted first. That's what he's planted since. And as the bottle shows, it's done well for him. I talked to George recently about his winery, about the business of making wine in Pennsylvania, and about Traminette. It was early on a cool, cloudy morning down near Mifflin, PA, and we sat in his empty, quiet tasting room. Hey, I'm here with George Hazard. He and his wife, Colleen, are the co-founders and owners of the Juniata Valley Winery. I didn't even remember. What town is this?
This is Mifflin,
Okay.
Lou, which is right across the river from Mifflin town. Central Pennsylvania, Juniata County.
Yeah, we're kind of out. I mean, there's nothing really close here. It's just
we're out in the rural areas of central Pennsylvania. Yes, we are. So it's beautiful. One of the most beautiful places in the country.
Gorgeous drive down here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So tell us how you came to be in the wine business.
Sure.
How you learned to make wine.
It's nice talking to you again, Lou. We talked about a year and a half ago at the farm show.
It
was very fun. I'm glad to be here again today. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
So back in 2008, 2009, if we remember, the economy had the downturn from 2008. And my wife, Colleen, and I were looking to transition out of an existing business that was feeling some effects. And we started looking at the wine industry up in New York. It was really booming at the time. And we were up there touring one weekend, and I really liked it. I really liked the feel. It was very positive. A lot of music, a lot of great wine, of course, and it was a very positive industry.
We were actually just up there this weekend.
Yeah. Still a great place.
Yeah.
When we started looking at this as a possible opportunity, there was not many wineries in Pennsylvania. Most of them were in the Northwest Corridor up by Lake Erie.
Yep.
A few wineries were popping up here in central Pennsylvania. So we took a look at it, and I said, hey, I can do this. I grew up making, we made everything. We had big gardens, we canned everything. Making things was not a challenge for us.
It's not scary.
It wasn't scary. So I said, hey, I can definitely make some wine. And so we started a little hobby just like everybody else does, and away you go. Yeah. So in 2011, we were driving down the road and we seen a very nice piece of real estate come up for sale. And we said, hey, that would make a great place for a winery. We approached the realtors, we approached the banks, and the rest is history. So in 2012, we purchased a property and not really knowing what we're doing.
And it was a farm property, or?
It was just back in the day. Yeah,
okay.
It was. It has a long history. It was originally known as the Wilson property. It's the Wilson House, which is part of our. We ran a bed and breakfast for a long number of years up till COVID. It was a very nice piece of real estate. Over the years, the farm got smaller. They sold some of the farm ground off, and there was 5 acres here, just enough for us to get started.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2012, we purchased a property. We started transitioning, making wine into from a commercial volume. And for the next 2 years, we just tried to figure it out. We worked with some of the other new wineries in Pennsylvania who were also trying to figure it out. I would say it was about that time that the industry really started to take off here in Pennsylvania. And so, again, it's a very rural area. So we started to it was always our theme to try to give our customers what they wanted. We weren't going to dictate to our customers what they could have.
Right.
We always tried to see what they wanted.
Put it all out there and see what they go for.
Put it all out there. So we started having music concerts, and, our wine numbers expanded.
That was actually something I wanted to ask you. You are in Mifflin, and it is real. How do you get people here? I mean, you're not that far from 322.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and so marketing is the key to everything, every business, Of course, social media is very big. We have a very large social media presence, and it's changed over the years, over 10, 12 years. It's really changed, but, we always had that. And what you need to do is just do everything you can to get your name out there, whether it's, one of the big things, Lou, we used to do, wine festivals were very popular from about 2013 up until COVID. They were very popular. We could go out to all corners of the state on any weekend, put our name in front of thousands of people, make a little bit of money, and get
because you can actually sell at the festival.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. So, and get our marketing material into the hands of our customers.
Sure.
So up until COVID, we had a very strong festival schedule. We did about 100 festivals a year.
Wow. Okay.
We were seeing tens and tens of thousands of people. We had a very strong shipping market. Shipping was relatively inexpensive before COVID. So, yeah, and it just worked. We pounded the street every day is really what you need to do. If you think you're going to build a business and they're just going to come to you, that's not going to happen.
No.
So, and all the wineries were doing the same thing. We got to know all the wineries in the state very quickly because
all go to the same events.
They're all in the same events. And we got to know them personally. It was very nice. We won't get into COVID, but COVID changed a lot of that. Yeah, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
Pre or post COVID, we had to reinvent some of our marketing strategies and regrow. Get that market back. So that was difficult. We operated a very successful bed and breakfast up until 2020. Probably to date, we've had over 250 concerts here at the winery. Every Friday night, we put on a show. In 2018, we got into the wedding industry.
So you have an event space out there.
We built a very beautiful timber frame.
That looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was an important expansion in our business. So we got into hosting events. Penn State was here yesterday having a private meeting.
Okay.
So we could tap into that market. And it's been very good for us. And in 2021, we purchased a neighboring property, which was also a high-end wedding facility.
Okay.
Which expanded our business.
Oh, this one right over here?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
It was known as the Lily Manor.
Okay.
It was all originally part of the same property. So we brought that back into a single, it's a joint property. And it's been very good for us. It's been very good. We have a lot of weddings, expanded our footprint as far as the people coming to the winery. After COVID, it really changed. A lot of our customers want food. Okay, so we'll be opening a cafe here in just a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
We built a very nice cafe on site, and we'll be expanding that, which will allow us to have some entertainment throughout the winter, move into that business as well. So it's a little bit different animal, having food, but
yes,
I think it's going to go very well. Yes.
Okay. I had planned to ask later, but since we're talking about it, when are you open? When can people come to the winery?
We're open Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
We open up 11 o'clock every day. And typically the tasting room's open till 5. Our cafe is going to be open a little bit later for evening meals, and we're going to have some entertainment and trivial pursuit nights and things like that. So typically Tuesday through Saturday, 11 till we close.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Tell me about making wine. You plant vines. They start producing. How long you pick?
That's
How's
right.
that all work?
Yeah, you plant vines and then they die. No, just joking. No, but that's a great question though, and we love talking about that. Making wine is an agricultural process. So, like any agricultural crop, you have those challenges. And a lot of people think that the East Coast or Pennsylvania is not a good place to grow grapes. We're the 5th largest grape growing state in the country.
Did not know that.
We have a large number of acreage. A lot of it is in the northwest corner of the state.
Right. Okay.
However, there are some fabulous vineyards throughout Pennsylvania. So typically people think, you grow the grapes, you pick the grapes, and you make the wine. And that's sort of the gist of it. I would say the challenge in Pennsylvania is what's known as an estate winery.
Okay.
So if you go to California, you might find a winery that has 5 wines, and they grow all their grapes there. We have 30 wines right now. Our customers like a wide variety of styles of wines, anything from sweet wines to fruit wines to dry whites, dry reds, ports. So we have about 30 different varieties to choose from, which creates a challenge to be in a state winery. So what we do is we specialize in Traminette, which we're going to talk about here in detail.
Yeah.
Very, very nice grape that grows very well here on the East Coast and in Pennsylvania. But we work with other local vineyards who might specialize in grapes like Cab Franc. Of course, Concord and Niagara are very popular here in Pennsylvania. But they might have Cabernet or Chardonnay in their vineyards. we'll bring in grapes from there and add to our repertoire, right? So a lot of the vineyards.
And I'm assuming most of the Pennsylvania wineries that are making fruit wines are buying the fruit rather than growing it? Or
yeah,
not?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, in Pennsylvania, legally, you have to use 75% of your production from Pennsylvania fruits.
Okay.
Okay. Believe it or not, one of our best wines, particularly in the fall, is a spiced apple. And so we get all our apples right here from Pennsylvania, all our apple juice.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania has a very strong apple industry. We get plums from Pennsylvania. We have a big plum industry. The blueberries come from Pennsylvania and right over the border in New Jersey. So you start sourcing fruit from different areas.
Yeah.
We get a lot of grapes from right down the road. We work with a vineyard. I have no problem mentioning them. It's a great winery, Shade Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Shade Mountain Vineyards.
Sure.
Carl and his family do very good on some of the grapes that we buy from them. And they can specialize in that while we're focusing on the grapes that we specialize on.
Yeah.
And then you bring the grapes in, typically in the fall, and sometimes you can buy juice into the winter.
Okay.
Because they'll press the grapes, and you can buy juice as well. And you bring in and you start the process. It usually takes 4 to 6 months to make a white wine. Okay. Depending on how long you can age it and store it, and space becomes an issue. Red wines take a little bit longer. Sometimes 10 to 18 months.
Okay.
Whether you put it in a barrel. So we typically like to age our reds about 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll bring them in, and throughout the rest of the year, you're focusing on clarification and stabilization, filtration, right, which I love talking about. And
wow, okay.
I don't. I'm lying to you.
Oh, okay. All right. So I know a couple of distillers who do, so I was ready for it.
So we had a lot of filtration, and you just have to give it time, and then we'll bottle from March, through the rest of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of cyclical.
It absolutely is cyclical,
there's seasons
yes.
to it. Gotcha.
There's seasons to it, and, a lot of it has to do with labor. When your labor is available, climate.
Can't pick in the rain.
You can't pick in the rain. You can't, there's nothing to pick in the wintertime, so it's a great time to work on other things.
Okay.
Summertime is, we're often focused on the next year's crop, so... But yeah, so you're working on your crop for 2025, the fall of 2025, and you start that process late winter in 2025 with your pruning, tying up your vines and getting them all prepared. And then once they come on, you start your spray programs, pesticide programs. We have the lanternfly to deal with now. Japanese beetles were a challenge this year. And you work on that all summer long until it's ready to pick.
And the picking's all hand labor?
Here it is.
Okay.
Yes. Now we've seen a change in Pennsylvania, and a lot more vineyards are going to mechanical harvesters. Really, that just is a labor demand. We all know we have a labor problem here in the United States. Cost and availability are a challenge.
Sure.
Here at the Juniata Valley Winery, we still pick everything by hand. And I like to harvest everything over the course of about 2 days.
Wow, okay.
And we'll pick 4 to 6 tons, hopefully. Once you pick it, you have to be able to manhandle it. So we specialize in Traminette. Traminette produces a white wine. So we will pick the Traminette, we pick it right into buckets. It'll go directly into the crusher destemmer, and we'll press that wine the same day.
Oh,
so we're pressing the white wines the same day as we're crushing them, and we like to get that all done in 48 hours and get it in the tank.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we're bringing in other grapes, let's talk about a little bit about Cab Franc maybe.
Okay.
A fabulous grape here in Pennsylvania. For those listening, I would challenge them to look into some Cab Francs. It's something that they may not have tried previously, you know, Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot or something like that. Try a little bit of Cab Franc. It's very nice. Or Marquette. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the red wines, they'll come in the fall, typically about 6 weeks later, and we'll run them through the crusher, destemmer. We'll put them in the vats on the skins. So the skins will remain in the wine, you know, 4 to 8 days, depending on depending on what you can do with them. 8 days is a little excessive, and those tannins and colors and stuff will, you know, sort of bleed into the wine and help create those colors. Okay. You know, the dark reds that you're looking for. And, you know, it's a little bit different process. So, but that happens later in the fall. And hopefully by the time you got your reds going, your white wines are, you know, stable, racked, and set off to the side a little bit.
And when you say racked, you mean transferred to a different tank?
Yeah, transferred to a different tank. You know, once you start your fermentation process, which is almost immediately, you know, those wines might be done primary fermentation within 3 to 6 days, depending on your temperature control and a lot of other factors, usually temperature. You know, after primary fermentation, I like to get them off of the lees, transfer those wines into a second tank where I start my secondary fermentation, malolactic fermentation, and start to create some sort of stability in the product. Okay. Your red wines are going to sit in the vats for a little bit longer. You're then going to press them off the skins, and then you start that. They've started fermenting in the vats, so you have the fermentation going on in the skins. We put them into the tanks. We finish up the primary fermentation when they're off the skins, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll rack those wines and start post-secondary fermentation. Okay. Yes.
So you mentioned Traminette. Let's talk about Traminette.
Let's talk about Traminette. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main reason I'm here. It just intrigued me. Read it was developed in 1965, University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. It's a Gewürztraminer hybrid.
It's a
cross.
It is, yes, with a French Céval. Okay. So primarily a Gewürztraminer, and if we look at vinifera grapes, Gewürztraminer is a German vinifera grape, which means that it grows naturally in those areas. It hasn't been grafted or modified by university or anything like that, or over time. It's a true grape. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. So it came from the Gewürztraminer in Germany. When we start looking at growing grapes, obviously we have to look at a lot of factors. Climate, soil types, amount of rainfall, disease control, all those things that, any agricultural crop is going to be challenged by. Sure. So, we all know that Pennsylvania is very similar to Germany, and we have a lot of hills. The soils are very similar. When the Germans came to the New World, they found Pennsylvania, and they're like, hey, this is a lot like home. We like it here. Good. Yeah, we like it here. So naturally, Germany has some fabulous grapes. They're known worldwide for their Rieslings. Yeah. Lots of different varieties of Rieslings, Gewürztraminers, other nice white wines. They do grow some red wines in Germany. Germany is a great place to grow grapes. Here in Pennsylvania, when we started planting vineyards and stuff, obviously you want to plant something that is going to do well. Right. And those grapes naturally do very well here in Pennsylvania. So we have some different regions in Pennsylvania, and for those people that are not from Pennsylvania listening, we have the southeast corner, which is relatively flat, right. A little bit warmer climate. We have central Appalachian, steeper valleys, steeper hills, and even a much different climate than just a little bit west of here, where we're into the plateau area part of the state, and then the northwest corner, which is the Lake Erie region. So we have a lot of different regions in Pennsylvania. Central Pennsylvania is very hilly and very similar to what you would see in Germany. So when we started looking at different varieties to grow here, Traminette just was constantly at the top of the list. And same way with some other vineyards. I know a lot of other vineyards that grow Traminette.
And I mean, by the time you started looking, it was an established grape in
It was an
America.
established grape. I think where it was not established was in the eyes of the public.
Yeah.
Okay, you have your Pinot Grigios and your Chardonnays and your Rieslings, and those are the names that people knew. That people knew. Gewürztraminer.
Sure.
What's that?
Yeah.
We don't. There are a few people knew. Traminette.
None at all.
None at all.
Yeah.
So really, it became an educational challenge to get this wine out to the public. And over the last 10 years, if we look at where Traminette has done very well, it's the state grape for Indiana.
Right.
I was just in Indiana yesterday. Very similar to Pennsylvania where I was. I was shocked.
Topography and
The hills and valleys and stuff.
And Amish.
Yeah, that's right. It was like I was at home. We kept driving around saying, hey, this looks a lot like home. A lot of the vineyards here started putting in some Traminette. We grew about 1,100 Traminette vines right out of the gate.
Right, that was your first vine, right?
It was, yeah. It's my only vine.
Okay.
I specialize in Traminette. That's what I do. It has done very well. And we started seeing wineries submitting Traminette to our local state competitions, the farm show competitions, and hey, everybody's coming home with medals, right? Sometimes cups.
Okay.
So they started submitting them to national competitions, and they're winning national best of shows.
Really?
So we have a
Wow.
couple.
Okay.
We have a couple wineries that are very local here that are getting best of show nationally
With Traminette.
with Traminette.
Okay.
I don't like to play in wine competitions. It's just not what I like to do personally.
Yeah.
It's I don't have that as a goal of mine. I just like to make wine.
Yeah.
And you'll like it or you won't, So
Yeah, that's the real competition.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So so Pennsylvania very quickly started to get nationally recognized for Traminette. And I like to think that my Traminette is as good as any. It's a very distinct grape. And let's talk about it a little bit. Traminette was developed from the Gewürztraminer to alleviate some of the challenges of growing grapes overall.
Okay.
And that is usually disease driven.
Right.
So grapes are a bit of a challenging agricultural crop. You have to prune them. You try to keep them alive. You don't want to hit them with a lawnmower or have spray drift from your neighboring farms or yourself or your employees, right? They're very finicky. Very finicky.
I mean, how much rain you get in a year
Oh,
is
the
going to
rain.
affect things incredibly.
Absolutely. So, again, Traminette does very well here in Pennsylvania. Let's get back to Traminette.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what's food pairings?
Yeah.
When you're actually drinking it.
Traminette is a very nice white wine. The grape itself turns into a golden yellow. And I always say you can almost like taste the sunshine in the grape itself, right? It turns this golden yellow. It loves the sun. And the wine has I'll say a little yellow tint to it, depending on the year and how much rain you get. Sometimes it's very crystal clear. Sometimes it'll have a very slight yellow tint. And a little bit about the wine itself. It has two very distinct characteristics. One, it has a very nice citrus tone to it. And when I say a tone, it's not like drinking orange juice.
Right.
But you'll pick up this nice grapefruit citrusy tone, okay? Which I like. A lot of people like that acidity. Acidity is very important when making wine. Most of your pHs in wine are between 3.0
Really?
and 3.8.
Wow, I didn't realize it went that low. Okay.
It does, yeah. And the Pennsylvania or the human palate is very in tune with slight changes in pH. And that's why food tastes so good, where anything from a very acidic orange or fruit or wine, and then, anything up to cake, which is very sweet and, the human palate is amazing. So wines are typically between a pH of 3.0 and 3.8, and it steps outside of those boundaries a little bit either way. Traminette has a really nice low pH. You get these nice citrusy grapefruit tones, and then behind it, you have a really unique floral experience. So when you're smelling the Traminette, you pick up this really nice floral aroma. It comes out in the finish of the wine. So when you talk about a finish, you taste it. You have this initial taste, which is traditionally citrusy. And as the longer it sits on the palate, you get this nice floral tone. And depending on the season and the vintner and lots of different things that come out throughout the year, changes that floral tone from season to season.
Oh, okay.
So your vintage from year to year might change depending on humidity and rainfall. A sudden hurricane or rain event right before harvest changes things very quickly. And what they always say is it'll make a winemaker out of you, right? Because you go out one day and everything's perfect, and you go out the next day and you got 6 inches of rain, and
what am I going to do with this?
What am I going to do with this? Right? And the bricks drop, which you wouldn't think would happen, but the sugar levels in the grapes, they drop overnight because there's more water, and then your pH changes, and away you go. So, but you get this really nice wine, white wine. People like to make it as a very dry white wine or in a style of like a Riesling. You might have a slight back sweetening to bring that wine up to a 0.5 bricks, 0.5, or maybe 1.0, but a little bit of back sweetening just to really make it pop. Okay? When you talk about dryness of wines, like a Chardonnay or a Pinot Grigio is usually at 0. Rieslings have a little bit of back sweetening.
Okay.
Traditionally. Traminette's the same. And so it really makes it pop.
I had I bought a bottle of your Traminette. I wanted to be prepared. And it was interesting. It seemed like there was more perceived sweetness than actual, because there was no stickiness to it at all. There was nothing on the back.
That's a great observation, and I love talking about this stuff. So Rieslings are very similar to that.
Okay.
So and let's talk about, say, Niagara. Okay, very popular white wine.
Sure.
You pick them off the vines and eat them at your grandparents' house. Everybody loves Niagara. You have to sweeten a Niagara up to 6% sugar, 8% sugar. Some people go even a little bit higher to really make that wine pop and get that nice grapey Niagara taste. If you did that to a Riesling or a Traminette, it'd just be sugar. It would be sticky. It'd be heavy and sticky. So what's nice about these, particularly these German varietals, is you can add a very small amount of back sweetening sugar, very small amount. We're talking 0.5%, and it'll pop. Rieslings always pop, and I'm saying it in a good way.
Yeah,
you can take a Riesling wine, a Traminette wine, a Saval or a Vidal, and add a little bit of sugar at the back end, and man, the flavor just comes right out. It's light. It's refreshing. It's very nice. So, Lou, you were right on the money there. And when I'm out, I like white wines. I drink a lot of white wines. That's what I look for. I look for a very flavorful, what I'll call a full body full flavored white wine with no sugar or very small amount of sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want it to finish clean.
Yeah, you want it to finish clean. And so when we talk about pairing a Traminette pairs with some really nice different styles of food. I always say if you're going to have fish or sushi or sashimi, that citrusy initial taste, it just goes fabulous with any type of fish, salmon even. Then you can get into some of your heavier dishes like a pork chop. I love Traminette with pork chops.
I was thinking about pork when I was drinking it.
Yeah, pork,
Yeah.
And it's just got that clean finish, and it's refreshing, and you get to enjoy the flavor however you do your pork.
I was actually thinking leaning into it and doing like a fruit glaze. And
So now you got a little bit of maybe some sweetness on the grill or something like that. And
and then the wine actually pulls it off.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. For those people that maybe not traditional central Pennsylvania foods, it doesn't go well with whoopie pies or hoagies.
Right.
But like Thai foods. Thai has that. I don't eat a lot of Thai food, but you have that heat and spiciness, and the Traminette goes really nicely with that. So, if you're trying something different like that, get a bottle of Traminette, and you're going to be very happy. You might find some sweet Traminettes out there. I do make a very sweet Traminette. It's a very heavy wine, almost a dessert wine.
That's a different one than from the Traminette label.
Yes, it is.
Right?
So if you come to the Juniata Valley Winery, you could pick up a bottle of Kiss Goodnight. Kiss Goodnight. And it's done in more of a dessert style wine. It's very, very heavy, and you get this really flavorful, floral, almost like, I don't want to say like if you put a lot of sugar in a lemonade, it's still good. It's still good.
Right.
A lot of people like it. And you can pair that up with something like a light dessert, any type of ice cream or anything like that. So now you're really talking a whole different style of wine, but it's out there. It's out there, and it's definitely worth a try. If you're a sweet wine drinker, which a lot of people are, try a bottle of sweet Traminette because it's as good or better than your traditional Niagara or Diamond or something like that. It's quite nice. It's just something that you don't see very often. We grow a lot of Traminette, and so we do a sweet Traminette just to have it available.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay. George, all this sounds great. I'm looking forward to the next bottle.
Hey, there we go. That's what I want to hear.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. I
appreciate the time.
As you can tell, I love talking about wines to people who like to talk about wines. And, I will challenge people to get out there to their local winery, not just the Juniata Valley Winery. Stop in at your local winery. Try some different wines. Everybody's got great wines. Pennsylvania has some of the best wineries on the East Coast. Central Pennsylvania has fabulous winemakers. Some of them are my personal friends. They're fantastic. Stop by. Try some of their Traminette. Try some of their Cab Franc.
I mean, almost all these places offer flights.
Oh, yeah,
like
absolutely.
You said, try stuff.
Try stuff.
Always tell people to
support your local wineries and buy your wines locally.
Okay. Now, I'll be honest. A lot of the reason why I haven't done a Pennsylvania winery episode is because a lot of the wines made in Pennsylvania are just not to my tastes. I don't care for sweet wines unless they're deeply sweet, with a certain complexity and mouthfeel, like ice wine or Sauterne. I feel the same way about pumpkin beers, actually, and that season's here too. Traminette, though, like Gewürztraminer and Grüner Veltliner and Riesling, can make a semi-sweet wine that I will happily drink. I had never heard of the grape until about 3 months ago when I was looking for something else, and when I found that this was a favorite of Pennsylvania winemakers, I figured I'd try some. It's a fun wine. It's probably going to be in my regular rotation. George and I mentioned briefly some other less familiar grapes that Pennsylvania winemakers have had success with, and I intend to sample them as well. Cab Franc I've already had, and it's a fine red with a fruity, spicy complexity. I have yet to sample Chambertin or Marquette, but I'll be looking for them. Like George said, we all need to get out there on the road and try some of these Pennsylvania wines. Speaking of getting out on the road, we've talked about covered bridges, a throwback to another age of transportation, of which Pennsylvania still has over 200. No, some of them are relics in parks or private lands, but many of them are still in daily use for the simple reason that they work. Well, for the same reason, Pennsylvania has over 23,000 miles of unpaved roads. And that's just the publicly maintained ones, not the logging roads or the miles and miles of dirt roads that run through the sprawling Allegheny National Forest, or all the private lanes. You know, I've driven dirt roads in Pennsylvania, New England, Kentucky, California, Colorado, North Carolina, all over New York, even in Scotland and Ireland, and a little bit in Iceland. I've been on dirt roads in Mexico. It's actually kind of hard to get around in Mexico without traveling dirt roads. Are dirt roads an inconvenience or a hazard? Well, they can be, especially in bad weather, because they aren't as well maintained as paved roads. They can get rough in snowy or very rainy weather when the roads get icy, deeply muddy, or wash out. There are some dirt roads that are well maintained. In Pennsylvania, a lot of that is because of conservation efforts led by trout fishers, kind of thing we talked about in episode 54. Well-maintained dirt roads don't dump a lot of mud and rock into trout streams. And again, that's a benefit for all of us. There are bars and restaurants that are located on dirt roads. Our local Seven Mountains wine cellars and Mountain Indy Vineyard are both on dirt roads. Dirt roads are a kind of social, traffic-based filter. Most people see a dirt road and just, no thanks, they avoid them. But some of us don't. People might be on dirt roads because they live there, or because they're the best way to get from point A to point B. But for a lot of us, dirt roads represent a chance to experience a slower part of nature, maybe things you can't otherwise see or hear. There are some around here that I make a point of driving in early June to see the proliferation of blooming mountain laurel. Some run alongside babbling streams that positively soothe my soul. I love a long view, a far-stretching vista, and there are some breathtaking ones I can only see from dirt roads, and that are less than half an hour from my home. Hobo Vista, Bell's Majestic View, and the Big Valley Vista off the grandly named Milheim-Siglerville Pike, a dirt road barely a lane and a half wide. The Milheim-Siglerville Pike wanders for 9 miles through the woods south of me, excepting about a quarter mile of paving as it passes the road to Poe Valley State Park and a clutch of vacation and hunting cabins. On its southern half, it's called the Siglerville-Milheim Pike, which is both endearing and confusing, but it's still a pretty decent dirt road. And back in those woods, down a quarter mile of his own dirt lane, lives my friend Dave Dreese, who you've heard from before, most recently when he went along with me to Duncannon. Dave's lived on that dirt road for years, commuted to his day job in State College on it through all kinds of weather, and maintains his lane. He knows dirt roads better than most folks. So I invited him over to the house to talk about dirt roads. Climb up into the cab. We'll go for a ride. Hey, I'm here with my friend Dave Dreese, who you've heard me talk about before. You've even heard him before. We're here to talk about dirt roads because you live on one.
I do. Thanks for having me, Lou.
Oh, yeah,
it's great to be here.
Thanks for coming over to the house.
I thought if I ever got interviewed on your podcast, it would be something other than dirt roads. That's not what I was expecting, but yeah, I definitely live on a dirt road.
Yeah, and what's more, you live on a dirt road that's on a dirt road.
I have put a dirt road off a dirt road.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you're on a private dirt road.
I am.
It's a dead end, comes out on a publicly maintained dirt road that runs for miles, right?
That's right. Yeah, I live on a dirt road. The main road is pavement at the bottom of the mountain, and then it turns to dirt.
And there's a chunk of pavement in the middle up there at the state parks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but the rest of it is just dirt road, and part of that dirt road is maintained in the winter. They maintain it part of the way up the mountain until they hit the state forest line, right? Yeah.
So there's some other private lanes and stuff off of that, but once you get about halfway up the mountain, they stop maintenance. So it's just ice and snow. Up above.
I've been on it. Yeah. Nomenclature, do you call them dirt roads, unpaved roads, back roads, forest roads?
I call it a dirt road.
Yeah.
That's just,
and I mean, there's different consistency. Some are in better shape than others.
that's absolutely true.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know the ones I really like to drive on are the ones like the compacted limestone. How do they maintain that? What do they do? Just pour down more dirt and roll it?
Yeah, sometimes they spray it.
With like some oil?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's actually 2 dirt roads that come up the mountain that merge before you get to my lane.
Right.
And one side and up to the state forest line, they actually came through about 5 years ago, and they put down fresh compactable fill, and it was really nice and well maintained. And the other road coming up, they barely touch. So one's really rough and one's in kind of pretty good shape.
Yeah, Kathy doesn't really like coming up that way.
Right?
Yeah. On the other hand, I've seen some really cool wildlife on that little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I see stuff up there all the time.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to ask. When you, I mean, what do you think about when you think about driving on a dirt road? What's it when you turn off the hardball onto a dirt road?
Right.
What kind of expectations do you have?
I expect to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I see all kinds of wildlife up there going back my lane and also on the public road. There's owls and hawks and
I saw a
deer.
pileated woodpecker. I've never seen one anywhere else.
Yes. And as you know, I live kind of back in the sticks. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, that's what we all say. Dave lives up on the mountain, and you do. And it's, and I mean, good God, what are the hummingbirds and your buddy the whippoorwill, and
right?
Yeah,
Charlie. Yeah. They come back every spring and stick around for the summer and get serenaded by Charlie in the evenings.
So that's all part of the appeal too.
It absolutely is. It's so quiet out there, and it makes it worthwhile to live on those unmaintained roads just because
there is I don't want to say a penalty, but you commuted on that road for years.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, what was that like when you had to get up and you had to get down the mountain and it had been raining hard all night?
Yeah, so when it rains really hard, my lane washes out. So multiple times a year.
Explain to people what that actually means.
It means it turns into a little river and creates
dirt
ruts.
Goes away,
right. So I get out with the tractor, and you have to have a tractor, I think, if you live on a significant dirt road. My lane's a quarter mile off of the first dirt road. So you go out with the York rake and you drag all the racks back up the hill to kind of where they belong and fill in the spots that are low. And if in the wintertime, to commute, you have to get up early and be out there at 5:30 or 6 o'clock with the tractor and a blade to clear the snow so you can get in and out of the road too.
And I assume living on a dirt road somewhat drives your choice of vehicle.
Yeah, so I have an Outback, which has about 8 inches of clearance, and that's my commuter vehicle, and then a pickup truck, and
sometimes you need that.
Yeah, if you only have 3 or 4 inches of snow, you can still make it in and out without having to go through all the plowing and everything.
Yeah. On the other hand, like in the summer when things are dry, a lot of this, like the main road you're on, was it Milheim-Siglerville Pike?
Yes, right.
I would take a sedan up there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can take something fairly low clearance. But,
the only problem is, and this is definitely a thing, sometimes you'll be driving along one of those, and all of a sudden you come to a place that you cannot get a sedan through or even the Outback through.
Right, absolutely.
And a lot of times you have no choice but to put her in reverse for like a quarter mile, right? To find someplace to... Because... I mean, you've got the rain you got to deal with. You got the snow you got to deal with. You have the ruts and the dips. But a lot of times you also have the drop-off.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So,
because some of these roads are...
unprotected, right? There's no guide rail going along the side of the road.
Once you're just carved into the side of the hill.
If you were to slide off the side, you've got a 30 or 40-foot tumble.
Yeah, tree might stop you,
right,
might not.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to stop you at all. What do you think of Pennsylvania dirt roads? Do you think of them as different than, I don't know, have you driven dirt roads in other places? Because I've driven in New England and I've driven in the South, and they are different types of dirt road.
I have not driven many in New England, but in the South, it's all sand.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a
Sand
different
or that
animal.
damned red clay.
Or the red clay,
Yeah.
which gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. I've been on some out west, too. And I mean,
Oh, yeah, I've been on some out west. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they tend to be a lot drier and rockier,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And yet, at the same time, I mean, I remember I was in Central California, well, Northern California, I guess. I was up around Clear Lake. And we decided to head out over the mountain, and it was 15 miles on pretty much dirt rock road. I mean, I was driving I think I had a Volvo station wagon. Never had any problem with clearance, but it was steep. It was, I didn't want to go any faster than about 20, 25.
Yes.
And yet roads around here, I mean, I'll be honest, I've bombed it up to like 45 on some of these.
They're doing nearly highway speed on some of these roads. And if you come around a turn and somebody's
yeah.
coming in the middle of the road, it
Yeah,
gets
because
a
a lot
little,
of times there isn't
a
room.
little iffy, right?
I mean, I read there was an article in the Times a couple years ago. Chatham, New York, up near Albany, was having a discussion about, we should really pave some of these roads. Because apparently the problem is if you've got enough traffic on a dirt road, the maintenance is actually more expensive than a paved road if you have enough traffic. And some of these were like people were building out there and they were getting more traffic on the road, and too much traffic will tear a dirt road up.
It's expensive, though. I mean, even a compacted dirt road, I got a price, and this was probably 6 or 7 years ago.
This is for your road.
Right, for my lane,
Yeah.
like a quarter mile, third of a mile. And they want $80,000 to $100,000 a mile. So they were looking at $20,000 just for compaction, and it would be significantly more than that for any kind of pavement to put out there.
Yeah. I mean, these are the things that the state has to contend with. I mean, there's over 23,000 miles of dirt road in Pennsylvania, and that's not counting the fire roads or the roads in the Allegheny National Forest.
That's...
I had no idea.
I never did either.
No idea.
That's a lot.
And like you said, they're not out there. Well, I mean, they're not out maintaining the paved roads every day.
Right.
But it's a lot of money. And I do find myself wondering, where's the, and then, you know what? Every time I think about where's the cost benefit, I think about driving the dirt road back to Ingleby.
Right.
And because Nora, my daughter, has this thing about she sees a stream by the road and she wants to pull over and sit down by the stream and just, and there are some spots along that Ingleby road where you can pull over and no other car will come by for half an hour.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and the only thing you hear is birds and the creek.
It's lovely.
Isn't it?
It is.
Man. And other people build, people like you build houses back there, live year round. There's hunting camps. There's what we call 3-season houses.
Yes.
And that's life. And when you go to town, you got to factor in that extra 20 minutes.
You do. And I lived in town and had a cabin on that road, actually in that spot. And I just over the years enjoyed it so much that it was worth the trade-off to do my own maintenance and everything to tear down the cabin and build a house just to be out there in the woods.
And I'm still amazed at the guys who will drive like lumber supply trucks out that road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen a semi, but.
We had.
Did you?
My neighbor logged his property last year, and I logged mine about 5 years ago. And so we had full up trucks coming out there. And I've had semis come out there when I was having materials delivered for the house and stuff. So you make it work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take down an extra tree or two to get them through.
That's what I'm really surprised that the bridges can take it, but I guess they've planned ahead for that.
Yeah. I guess so. Because they're moving some pretty heavy equipment when they put those roads in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
The state guys are taking stuff up there on the
Yeah,
mountain.
and I mean,
to do
it's all planning and figuring out, because I've seen covered bridges with like load limits of 38 tons. So
That's-
there's obviously some steel involved there.
Right.
That's not just oak beams. But yeah, so I think it's part of Pennsylvania.
It is.
And particularly central Pennsylvania. I read somewhere Bradford County has the most
Okay.
of any kind of. They have over 1,600 miles just in Bradford, publicly maintained. I have no idea what it's like in the national forest. I don't know if anybody does, to be honest. I suspect that some of that stuff gets maintained in a we'll get to it kind of thing. So
Yeah, this is why we all have trucks.
yeah. You people make jokes about it, but got to have it sometimes.
Sometimes you got to have it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's better than waiting for your neighbor who lives 10 miles away to show up with one.
Very true.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up every now and then.
Yes.
I appreciate it. All right. That's all I got, bud.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Lou. I
Yeah.
appreciate being here.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yes.
Have fun, bud.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah, I know. I admitted to driving pretty fast on dirt roads there. But I only do that when I already know the road and I can see ahead for at least a quarter mile. So let's talk about some practical tips for safely driving on these roads. First, get a good road map, like the DeMolay Pennsylvania Gazetteer, or download Google Maps for the area you'll be driving so you can check it offline. Because a lot of times, turning onto a dirt road means entering an area of limited or no cell phone signal. So Google Maps just won't work. You want to be prepared because these roads tend to follow the path of least resistance, and you often need to turn south to go north, and there aren't a lot of signs to tell you that. Be prepared with your car, too. Check your oil, your tire pressure, and the state of your spare, and have a full tank of gas. If you do break down out there with no cell signal and not a lot of other traffic, you're looking at a long walk home. As Dave and I said in the interview, some of these roads you can easily drive in a standard sedan. A motorcycle's great, but a rainstorm can change that without warning, and you're suddenly faced with a foot-deep gully across the road or a tree down across the road. One time, I was faced with an entire hillside, trees and all, that had slid down over the road, obliterating it. So even when you're familiar with the road, always be scanning ahead of you. Driving on a dirt road tends to keep you on your toes in several ways, because while there aren't a lot of other cars out there, there's some reason they tend to come along at the worst times. You'll be going around a blind curve, driving on a narrow stretch with a rock wall on your right and a 200-foot drop on your left, or right when a deer runs out in front of you, there's a pickup truck coming at you. Oh yeah, always keep an eye out for deer bounding across the road. Remember, you're in their neighborhood now. So it's smart to always slow down and stay well over on your side when approaching a curve. When you see an oncoming car and there's no room to get by each other, one of you is going to have to back up to a spot where there's room to pass. And do not expect logging trucks or any vehicle with a trailer to back up for you. Dirt roads get very dicey in the winter. Freeze and thaw makes for deep mud because the water doesn't dry up as fast. Fresh snow isn't too bad as long as you keep it slow, but no one's going to be plowing it. And on the north slopes, it soon turns into ice that feels like a bobsled run. That's something I've only dealt with once, and now when it looks like that, well, I stay home with a cup of coffee and a book. All that said, I've been driving on dirt roads for 50 years, and I've never had a mishap. Stay alert, be reasonably prepared, keep your vehicle maintained, and you'll enjoy a great drive through forested halls and see vistas unavailable any other way. Bring a lunch, enjoy a picnic, keep your windows open and listen to the birds song, breathe the piney fresh air. Oh yeah, dirt roads forever. I wanted to give one last plug for Another World, the music festival at the Winkleblack Farm in Woodward, this September 12th, 13th, and 14th. 3 days of music on 2 stages from 30 bands, including the headliner, roots music pioneers Donna the Buffalo, playing Saturday and Sunday nights, synth and guitar giants Jim Cotta, breakout outlaw rockers Adam and the Armadillos, and our Penns Valley favorites, Chicken Tractor Deluxe, Rudy, Blues Junction Transit, Astral Shakedown, and the Po Valley Troubadours. It's 3 days, all day, so of course, there are food trucks, there's ice cream trucks, beer, wine, and cider from local producers, and all the colorful merch you'd expect from a 3-day outdoor music festival. You can get tent or RV camping passes and stay there all night. And last year, musicians free jammed long into the night after the scheduled show was over. Dave, who we just talked to about Dirt Roads, is organizing the dozen of volunteers to make it happen. Our buddy Rich Gallup has been working on the electrical system for 2 years to bring safe power to the stages and food trucks. This festival is ready for prime time. It's ready for you. Like I told you a month ago, this might be your last chance to say, oh, another world? Yeah, we were there before everyone found out about it. 3 days, 30 bands, set amid the gorgeous open fields, woods, and rippling streams of the Wickelbeck Farm. It's Another World, September 12th through the 14th. Get all the details at anotherworldmusicfestival.org. It's all there. This is your chance. Dang, there's literally half a ton of my whiskey books sitting in our front room. I got the new book set up in my Square credit card acceptance app. I've got a pocket full of fresh Sharpies, and I am ready to go on American Whiskey Masterclass. Sales start in less than a month. You can still pre-order on bn.com or at your local independent bookstore, or plan on coming to one of the upcoming events. Philly, Lancaster, Center County, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Michigan, Iowa, Kentucky. More to come. That's the show. Thanks to George Hazard for the interview, and thanks to Dave Dreese, as always, for sharing my love for the link to nature that is a dirt road. Always good to head up the mountain, bud. You can find pictures for this episode on Instagram at Stag Podcast and on Facebook at Seen Through a Glass. If you'd like to toss a bit in my hat to keep the show going, I have a coffee button in my Instagram link tree. That's at Stag Podcast and at the Facebook page. Thank you. I have a more serious bit of trivia than usual for you this time. Earlier, I mentioned the Foster Joseph Sayers Reservoir in the Bald Eagle State Park. You should know that the reservoir is named for a Howard War hero. Foster Joseph Sayers was born and raised in the town, and he was just 20 years old in November of 1944, an infantryman fighting with the 90th Infantry Division just south of Luxembourg. Sayers and his rifle company were ordered to assault a German hilltop emplacement, a deadly proposition. Sayers sized up the situation, grabbed his machine gun, and ran through enemy fire to a flanking position less than 20 yards from the Germans and opened fire. Before he was killed by the heavy return fire, he had successfully drawn the Germans' attention, allowing his comrades to sweep the hilltop and secure the position with minimal casualties. He received the Medal of Honor for his conspicuous courage, and he is buried in Schenck Cemetery in Howard, Pennsylvania. Honor to him. Now, what's coming up next episode? Well, that's what we call a very good question. We'll have something, but I'm not really sure at this point. Stop me if you've heard that before. Until then, thanks for listening. This is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass from the smack dab center of the Keystone State.